Hello and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
And I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, we have a very serious topic to talk about today, and we're going to have Ashley Rich, our district attorney for the county, Mobile County. We're going to be talking about vaping. What do you know about vaping?
I've seen quite a lot of conversation about vaping. I think there's a lot of unknowns about it, but the things that are known seem to be alarming. And I think it's a conversation that deserves to have some conversation, some discussion, and some deeper viewing into,
Very serious conversation nonetheless, and we'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Abby Dinkins. My children go to E.R. Dixon Elementary School. The education that my kids are getting, it's tremendous. There's one time that I thought about homeschooling my kids because I wasn't sure, we're new here. And when I enroll my children at the public school, and I'm just blown away because the teachers are nice, the curriculum itself is different. I believe in Mobile County public school education for preparing my children for life.
Welcome back to Safe Schools. Ms. Rich, thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate y'all being willing to address this issue. It's a really serious issue that we're facing right now.
Well, let's dive right into it. We started off talking about vaping, but for us, we really don't know a whole lot about vaping. You do. So tell us and tell the viewers, what is vaping?
Vaping is the use of an e-cigarette where you put a vape juice into the e-cigarette, and that juice, that oil is heated up, and you inhale it by use of the e-cigarette. And so vaping was originally created as a way, they were promoting it to quit smoking, but vaping does exactly the opposite. Vaping contains nicotine, and it contains harmful chemicals in the e-juices that are causing more harm than actual cigarette smoking itself. And so what happened is they started marketing various forms of these e-cigarettes. One prominent one called Juul to kids. They look like a jump drive. They look like, a thumb drive that kids plug into their computer. That's actually how they charge these e-cigarettes. And it became cool all of a sudden for our young people to use these e-cigarettes and to vape. And it's an epidemic. CNN declared it an epidemic. Many news agencies have declared it an epidemic. There's been a 900% increase in use of e-cigarettes and vaping in high school students between the year 2011 and 2015.
That was going to be my next question. Who are we seeing using these more often?
We're seeing it start in middle school, and we're seeing middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, all the way up through 12th grade using these e-cigarettes or these vaping devices. And it is an epidemic. We're seeing it all the time.
So besides going to the gas station or the quick stop type of vendors, they also have these vape shops.
Yeah, just drive around and start thinking or start looking, and they're everywhere. They're on every street corner right now.
And so when the customer goes in and purchases these, and you were talking about the young audience, I gather that one of the things that happens is that they flavor this stuff to appealing.
Absolutely. Banana, cherry, Fruit Loops, cereals, any kind of flavoring that makes the kids want to inhale it because it tastes good. And they think because it tastes good that it's not harmful to them.
Right.
Almost like it's some kind of food product, when in reality, it's not. It is a mix of chemicals with a flavoring on top to make them want to do it more and more. It also contains nicotine, which is highly addictive. But even talking about the nicotine, the chemicals is what's so very dangerous. And the way they make these chemicals is incredibly dangerous as well. There is absolutely no FDA regulation as to what goes in to vape juices, and they're mixed in mom and pop shops on every street corner.
So there is no skill set necessary for somebody to go out and mix up random chemicals and put them into these vape devices that people are inhaling, so they have no idea what they're ingesting.
Right. When someone goes into a vape shop to purchase vape juice or e-juice, it's in a vial, okay, much like an eyedropper vial. And they purchase that vial according to whatever flavor they want. And who makes that vial? Most people think, oh, well, some corporate company entity, you know, with a fancy headquarters regulated by the FDA makes that. Sure, there's zero. That's not what happens. It is being made in the back room of the vape shop, where they have 50-gallon drums of chemicals, and there is a minimum wage employee mixing up chemicals, adding a flavoring, and putting it in a dropper and selling it in the vape stores.
And then people buy that and ingest it with no appreciation for what they're putting in their bodies and what it'll do to them.
They have no idea. They have no idea.
Are we seeing a lot of targeted marketing nowadays in the tobacco industry as it relates to vape juice or any other?
Absolutely, especially with the company Juul. And there was recently been, the FDA has told Juul to cease and desist marketing to young people at this point until they can study and analyze what Juul has been doing, because Juul is the most common type of e-cigarette that's being marketed to young people, especially middle schoolers and high schoolers.
So I just want to go back and visit that. So as a parent, if I've got a middle school, high school age kid, it's not going to look like a regular tobacco cigarette.
No, it's going to look like something very normal in their book bag. It's going to look like a thumb drive, okay? It's long and slender, and it looks like something that would be required for them to work on a computer project at school every day. And so the parents aren't going to notice it. And then, even worse than that, it can be charged. It has to be charged. It can be charged on their computer. So it might be in their computer, in the port in their computer, being charged right in front of the parents' very eyes, and they don't know it. And then what we're seeing in our schools is we're seeing teachers, principals, administrators, we're seeing kids doing it in front of the teachers in class.
Okay.
Okay, thinking because of what it looks like, because it looks like a thumb drive, the teacher's not going to know what it is. And then they're consuming or vaping right there in the school, which is a violation of all kinds of school rules.
It does emit smoke also, right? Or does it
The
not?
Juul does not.
It does
okay,
not.
It has a blue color light that you know what's going on, and you are inhaling it. There's no smoke to the Juul.
So it's smokeless. So then there's no obvious indicator
No.
that this person's ingesting this.
The only thing a teacher would be looking for is a blue light on the end of a device that looks like a thumb drive.
And the chances that a teacher is actually looking for a blue light during an instructional period is
Well, they're
probably
supposed to
slim.
be.
Right.
Okay, here's the deal. Our teachers need to be concentrating on what the learning environment that they're providing to their students and how they're teaching their students. They don't need to be concentrating on, oh my gosh, is somebody vaping? Do I
Right.
need to look around and see if there's a vape somewhere? I mean, you know, it's just, our teachers shouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
But
we're supposed to be
unfortunately,
doing reading, writing, and arithmetic.
right, but unfortunately, because this is an epidemic, they're all doing it.
You know, we wanted to do this show because, again, this is all about educating and or informing the public about things that they need to know that oftentimes they don't know about. And thanks again for coming out and sharing this information. You have a poster there, too. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. You know, people say, why is the DA involved in vaping? You know, that's not, it's not a crime. It is we'll talk about that in a minute. It is a crime for juveniles to possess an e-cigarette or the e-juice. But it's not one of those crimes that people think the DA should be involved in, right? I mean, they think the DA should be involved in robbery, rape, murder, burglaries, you know, breaking into people's houses. But the problem is we've got a whole group of young people that are willing to put anything in their mouth. If they're willing to put these chemicals in their mouth that they don't know what's going to do to their bodies, and that's what's real important for parents to understand about vaping is There have been no studies as to the effects of the chemicals that are contained in the vape juices on humans. So we have no idea what these vape juices are doing to our kids as they're smoking it and ingesting it. And so kids are willing to put anything in their mouth. The next step for them, if they're willing to vape and put these unknown chemicals in their mouth, is maybe they're going to order some designer drugs off the internet because, you know, they think they can get them. And then they're willing to put a designer drug in their mouth that's been manufactured in China, and they have no idea what's in the drug.
So then there's another element to this conversation, which is once you decide to engage in risky behavior.
Absolutely.
And before we jump into that conversation, let's take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
It's a fact. Bullying happens. Bullying can lead to serious physical and emotional pain. But there are some things you can do to prevent or stop it. Stand up for the person who's being bullied. Let the bully know that it's not cool to pick on others. Take action by reporting the bully to a teacher or principal. In the end, when you help someone who's being bullied, you are also helping yourself.
In Mobile County Public Schools, we are redefining ready. We are graduating college ready, career ready, and life ready. We are more than just a test score. We are earning college credit while in high school. We are working internships to get real-world experience. We are welders. We are certified nursing assistants. We are redefining ready.
You mentioned Juul initially, Ms. Rich. So why Juul? What makes them unique?
What makes Juul unique is Juul is the one that looks most like a thumb drive that goes into your computer. And Juul was marketing directly to young people and minors. And it's interesting, Juul accounts for 70% of the e-cigarette sales in the United States. 70%.
That's huge.
And you know, another statistic that is really, really important for parents to understand when they think, oh, my child's not doing that. 1 in 3 12th grade students in the United States is using an e-cigarette device. 1 in 3.
Wow.
1 in 3. And so why is the DA involved? You know, I've created this poster. The theme of the poster is Vaping Makes You a Lab Rat, because it really does.
Right.
Because what you're doing to your body, if you are choosing to use e-cigarettes or to vape, we have no idea. And you are a lab rat, and you're the test case, and you're going to be studied for years to come when you go to the doctor and you tell the doctor you've been juuling or vaping for years, and you're starting to have all kinds of health problems, and you're going to be the lab rat. And these companies don't care about you, and they don't care about the kids' health. They don't care about the kids. They care about making the dollar.
And the idea that a vape shop can be in the back producing the juice or whatever it's called.
With no regulation.
No regulation. I run out of something here, I supplement it by adding this to it. And you are the test.
You're the lab rat.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we were talking about risky decision making and how this particular risky decision making then transitions into potentially other decision making. I understand that one of the issues is vapors end up being cigarette smokers also.
Well, you know, a lot of people thought that vaping would help them get off of, you know, addiction to cigarettes, but that's not the case. And a lot of times people do continue to vape and use cigarettes at the same time. And they just, you know, choose which one they're going to use, and they're doing, you know, cigarette smoking and vaping at the same time. So it's it has not been found to help people in their nicotine addiction to use an e-cigarette, because e-cigarettes contain nicotine.
Wow.
Majority of them contain nicotine. And, you know, the concept as far as, you know, students are willing to put these devices in their mouth. They're willing to inhale the e-juice. And so that oftentimes leads to the next step, which what are they going to put in their mouths next? And typically that is, some type of drug, illegal drug, designer drug, which is, certainly illegal. And we're just concerned about this epidemic, and we're concerned that it is teaching our young people it's okay to put unknown substances in your mouth, and it's just not.
I know what you're trying to do within the county to address this issue, but what are we doing as a state and as a nation to address it?
We, members of the Drug Education Council, Virginia Guy, myself, and others in the Underage Drinking Task Force, we are trying to educate our legislators about this epidemic, because we're talking, education is very key here. Educating our parents is one aspect, but educating our legislators that we need tougher laws about vaping in the state of Alabama. The legislature goes into session in March, and we tend to introduce a series of bills to get a lot tougher on the regulation of vaping. Right now, it's only illegal, against the law, for minors to possess it, and we're going to get a lot tougher on our laws in the state of Alabama. We need to do that, and so we're going to be pushing for that in March.
Have other states begun to increase their regulation?
Unfortunately, all of the states except for Alabama and 2 other states have really tightened up their vaping laws. So we are behind in the state of Alabama, and that's why we're making this big push for the March legislature to tighten up our vaping laws in the state of Alabama.
So it's just a matter of
But
educating
again, even though our
everybody.
laws aren't that tight, it is still illegal for a minor, anyone under the age of 21, to possess an e-cigarette or any type of vaping juice.
So it's a crime period for kids.
It's a criminal citation. It's a trip to the courthouse. It's hiring a lawyer if you want to fight it. It's spending a bunch of money, and then it's a major fine up to $500. And it's something on your record.
Right.
But the long-term effects are so
The health
damaging.
effects,
Right.
yeah.
The idea that I'm putting, again, poison in my body and not understanding that 20 years from now or sooner, I may be dealing with a debilitating illness or even death due to unknown reasons that no one can identify why I have this problem.
And using an e-cigarette is across all boundaries. I mean, it's athletes, it's people in the choir, it's people in the band. But, you think about all these athletes that are so good at what they're doing, who are performing in high school and want to perform in college, want to go to college and perform in athletics, and they're putting something into their body that they don't know what it's going to do to them and how it's going to affect their athletic ability. I mean, that's just ludicrous as well.
This is why this information is so important, because, again, it's being promoted as something that is
Healthy,
a healthy
normal
alternative.
Normal. Tastes like banana or cherry or Fruit Loops or, anything good that, you would normally want to eat. That's what it tastes like, and that's what it tastes like when you're ingesting it, and that's just not the case. It masks the danger.
Yeah, from the athletic perspective, your body is your instrument. And if you take your body and do things to it that then subject it to harm or malfunction, making your body not do what it's supposed to do, that's counterintuitive. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
The first thing that we've learned so far, even though this is such a new thing, is that one of the chemicals that's a common flavoring in e-liquids is associated with the development of what's called popcorn lung, which is an inflammation of the small capillaries in the lung and presents symptoms similar to COPD, which is a disease. It's not curable, and it would be something that has to be managed for the rest of your life and interferes with your ability to breathe correctly. And so we're seeing that as a result in the very early stages of what we're learning about what e-juices do
So we
to
already
your
know
body.
the popcorn lung is one
Popcorn
of the
lung.
things that sounds extremely alarming.
And extremely painful and extremely debilitating, and something that you would live with for the rest of your life.
Well, let's dive into that after the commercial break, because I want to hear more about this popcorn lung thing. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is Kyla Brown, and I am redefining ready. I'm taking AP and dual enrollment courses that will help me earn college credits while in high school. I am studying dental science that will assist me in my career choice of becoming a dentist. I am a Student Government Association representative and actively involved in other activities around my school and community. and this is how I am redefining ready.
As a student in the Mobile County Public Schools, there are a few things I've come to expect. One is a quality education, and the other is a quality lunch. Not only are our school meals well balanced, meeting all federal nutritional standards, but they also have less fat, fewer calories, and they taste really good. Oh, and I forgot to mention, our school lunches contain whole wheat, grains, fruits, and vegetables to give me the energy and brain power to get me through the day.
And we're back. Let's dive into the popcorn lung thing. I know, first of all, that this e-juice has stuff like formaldehyde and embalming fluid, all these things that they put in us when we die. But tell me a little bit about that.
You know, again, these chemicals, when you are, what happens is you put the liquid into the vaping device, and then it heats up the liquid, and that's what you're ingesting is the liquid, which is the chemicals themselves burning in the liquid, and you are ingesting those chemicals into your lung, and so they go straight into your lung, and that's what we're first seeing is causing this popcorn lung, and those chemicals cause bubbling of the interior lining of your lungs, and it's extremely painful, and it's a debilitating, uncurable disease, popcorn lung, or symptoms of COPD. If you've ever seen anybody that coughs all the time and has trouble breathing, I mean, who wants that?
Right.
I mean, who wants that kind of issue? And there's tons of other side effects that we're seeing right now. We just don't know the other diseases and things that these chemicals being ingested are going to cause. Cancer being one of them.
Absolutely.
You know.
It sounds very predictably likely that there's going to be that ending, that likely outcome and result, that you're going to have some profoundly negative adverse medical effects. One of the things that comes to my mind is, you know, from the notion of both communicating to the young person and to the parent, and how people gather their information nowadays. There's always available to you, if you want to the parent or to the young person, what can happen to me, and just look it up, go on the internet and find out. Be careful, because the good guys and the bad guys advertise on the internet.
Right.
So you have to be careful about making sure that the sources that you gather information from are valid. But, you know, in preparing for today's show, I did do a little look-see, and I found a couple of things that, you know, I want to kind of put out there and get some take back from you. So one of the things I looked up was, what are the most common side effects of vaping? Dryness of mouth, dryness of the eyes, dryness of the skin, dryness of the lips, sensitive or bleeding gums, cough and general throat irritation, headaches, nosebleeds, dulled ability to taste food. Below are additional side effects associated with nicotine consumption, which is one of the ingredients found in vaping from time, frequently inability to sleep, racing or abnormal heart patterns, ringing in the ears, nausea, constipation, and unusual tiredness. Now, I just doubt that the manufacturers of vaping put that out there as a disclosure.
Oh no, absolutely not. They're trying to still sell it as this will help you stop smoking, or there's really nothing unhealthy in there. And you know, kids, if you ask a kid, hey, why are you doing that? Well, there's really nothing in there but water, is what the majority of them say. There's really nothing in there but water, flavored water. This is not flavored water.
It's
This
not
is flavored
water.
chemicals.
Absolutely.
You know, this information is so important to share, not just to the consumer of the product, but also to the parents, because we can conclude that overwhelmingly a large number of young people are using this device. But we want parents to make note of this information, because oftentimes children will ignore symptoms of things because they just do, because they don't think of the seriousness of what they may be dealing with long term. But as a parent, I mean, this information is extremely important.
I've always been a proponent, every time we come on this show, I'm a proponent of conversations that you need to have with your young people around the dining room table. You need to order some pizza if you don't want to cook. You need to sit down and have a meal together, and you need to talk about real life issues. And this is a real life issue that is affecting our young people right here in our community. And the conversation needs to be had, in my opinion, about 5th grade or 6th grade, because that's when they're starting. And I know that seems young, and some parents go, I could never talk to my child about this. But wouldn't it be better for you to talk to your child about this before he or she gets exposed to it for the first time and doesn't know what they're doing? It should be a conversation that's had around the dinner table to talk about the number one, the consequences if you get caught doing it, and number two, the health risk and why you should never do it in the first place, and what to do if you are a young person and somebody says, hey, why don't you take this vape? Why don't you do this vape? Why don't you do this? Give your kids tools to be able to say, no, man, that stuff, that's poison. I would never put that in my body. Talk to your kids about this. Give them some ammo so that when somebody approaches them and says, hey, you want to hit on this, because they pass them around. Do you want to hit on this vape? You want to hit on this e-cigarette? No, man, that stuff does some crazy things to your lungs. I heard it does some crazy things. Give them some tools that they can learn to say from the very beginning, no, I'm not choosing to do that.
Well, this is the information that we want parents to know, because again, I hope the viewers look at this and say that we're going to have a conversation about this, because this is something that may be happening under my roof that I'm completely oblivious to, and I care enough about you to have a conversation about it as a parent.
That's right.
If a parent wants more information, Ashley, how can they get more information about vaping?
Locally, they need to just go to the Drug Education Council website. Also, the Drug Education is available on Bel Air Boulevard, open from 8 to 5 every day. And there's tremendous amounts of resources, pamphlets, booklets, posters, my posters there, lots of different things that they can go by there, pick up some pamphlets and some materials to share with their kids, to give their kids, to show them, hey, this is not just me talking. Here it is in black and white. And the Drug Education Council is always there for parents that need help. And if they need somebody else to talk to their kids, if maybe they're not getting through, Drug Education Council will do that too. They provide tremendous resources for this community.
As a member of the community, not just as a parent, but anybody who cares about the development of a young person, risky behavior is something that young people shouldn't engage in, and all of us have a responsibility to engage in that conversation. It's good we talked about vaping today.
Thank you for doing it. Not a lot of people want to talk about this, but it is a very important epidemic going around.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for coming out, and I know that you're passionate about what you do and everything that you do. So again, thank you. This has been Safe Schools. Thanks for viewing.